Why is the first day home from prison so important? Because it's going to prove to people around you, and most importantly to yourself, if you're really redeemed and rehabilitated. And what do I mean by rehabilitated? I just simply mean that you have a change of mindset. If you come home from prison and the very first thing you do is start thinking about your homeboys or your ex-girlfriends who may or may not have been involved in that lifestyle with you, then you are already setting yourself up for failure. You cannot come home from prison and start thinking about, dang, I got to get in touch with the old homeboys from the old block and see what's going down with them. Because there's a good chance that while you sat in prison, you received word on the street that your homeboys that you thinking about still doing the same thing they've been doing. Most of them are busted, disgusted, broke, dependent on the government for assistance, and still living with their parents, taking their parents' little bit of Social Security money and buying dope with that money. Now, you want to get home from prison and you just did a 5+ years in prison, maybe you did 2 years, but if you did 5+ years in prison and all you've been thinking about the whole time that you've been in prison was connecting to your rounds or your homeboys from the block so you can get back on the scene and get seen. That's another thing. If you came home from prison and the first thing you worried about is being seen, well, chances are you ain't going to stay home for long, or you ain't going to stay alive for long. You are on a one-way course for destruction. That means you're going to wind up back in jail. If you connect with the homeboys, these dudes been smoking weed, they've been shooting dope, they've been hanging out at the barroom. If you come home from prison and you connect to anybody who hangs out at the barroom, then you obviously didn't learn nothing. Because you know what happens? What happens at the barroom? Why do you feel a need to get connected to the barroom after 5+ years in the penitentiary? That's just stupid. That don't make no sense. That proves that you really might just be stupid. And you know what? It's enough with all this stuff. You know what I mean? When it comes to convicts, man, we got to talk real with each other. Oh, that's just him. They do their thing. Man, you doing your thing like that, you just dumb. You a fool. And let me tell you something. You're going to wind up breaking the hearts of the people who stuck with you and cared with you most while you were doing your prison time. That's right. Your family, your parents, more than likely, sent you money while you were in jail, and you still messing around doing the same thing. This is sad. If it's your first day home from prison, you know what you need to be doing? You need to take a reflection time. You don't need to jump off into anything the first 24 hours, 48 hours that you're home from prison. You just need to evaluate your surroundings. If you're younger, chances are you still have your parents and you still have a support system. You might have a brother or sister who's really supportive, whether they're older or younger. And you're going to be living with them, or you're going to be living with your parents, or you're going to be living with another family member, grandparent, etc. You blessed. If you're older, then you probably, don't have that same support staff that a younger person does. Maybe you do. Either way, you can't get home from prison and jump right off into anything. I'm being serious. I'm not even saying that you should be looking for a job within the first 24 hours. Just give yourself a moment to breathe, to reflect, to take in your surroundings. Everything's going to happen. It's going to happen as it's supposed to happen, as long as you don't get out there and destroy things like you did in the past. And what I mean, don't be on a collision course with destruction. You can create a symphony of destruction in your own life by making a bunch of wrong decisions too soon once you're released from prison. Take your time when you get out. Or if you know somebody who's getting out, give them a little space to clear their head. Ask them, look, you good? They're going to be staying. You have a room set up for them if you're able to, or a sofa or whatever, and just show them that spot and just let them think for a minute, because they might have been, depending on where they were incarcerated at, things were chaotic for a long time. And now they're coming into tranquility, hopefully. The crazy part is some people are going to be released from prison, and they're not just going to go into tranquility. They're going into a unstable environment immediately, a place that's chaotic. They might have a girlfriend or a wife who is a chaotic woman, or they may have a chaotic family. You know, they might have brothers and sisters who live with their parents where they're going to be living, and the brother and sister struggling with drugs and instability, you know, always arguing, fussing and fighting. That's not a good place to be neither. But when you come home from prison, chances are you're not sitting on no huge nest egg of money and you got your own house. Most people, probably 99% of them, don't have nothing. So you got to be open to the opportunities that you have and take a moment, view your surroundings, calculate what's going on, and strategically get your head ready for what's about to happen. You're free. You're probably going to have to go check in with your parole officer. And if you're not on parole, you're still going to have to deal with a lot of things. Take your time. I'm going on 20 years, right at close to 20 years. I lose track that I've been home from prison. And I remember within that first year, that first 2 years, you know, it didn't seem like things were happening the way I wanted them to, you know, when it came to employment. But I have to take my time. You get the jobs you can get. Stay committed. Show that you can be trusted. Don't do nothing stupid. Don't jump off with the right people. Not everybody has your best interests at heart. And you know what? A lot of people, once you start doing good, they're going to hate on you even more. I noticed that. Because a lot of people expected me to come out and wind up back in prison. They didn't expect me to do well. They were holding their nuts on me, so to speak. And I hate to be so blunt, but that's the way it was. They were holding their nuts on me to fail again. And all these years later, they probably can't believe that I've successfully lived a life as a productive member of society. And I've thrived. I did good. There's a lot of stuff that's not perfect. I still got family dynamics that still need to be repaired. And they may never be repaired. That's another thing. You got to realize that your life may never get to where you think it should be. There's a lot of evaluation. It's not going to go the way you want. It's not going to go the way we want. Life doesn't always go the way we want. It doesn't always work the way we want it to work. And this is me sharing some thoughts about thinking about being home from the first day from prison. There's going to be a lot that you have to evaluate in your mind when you get home from prison. Maybe you're looking at this and you're watching this and you've been home for years and it's still not going that way. It's okay. Take today. Reflect on today. Look at where you're at today. You might have to reevaluate some of the decisions you made and have to course correct on those decisions. And remember, you always hear me say this if you watch my channel, course correction is important because sometimes we get off course and we just need to course correct. We need to get back on the right path. And sometimes it's okay to go down the wrong path as long as that wrong path. And listen, I'm not talking about get off on the wrong path and go out there and start busting caps and robbing people. I ain't talking about that. I'm talking about you might have made a wrong choice in employment and maybe you realize that now. Well, course correct. Get out of that poisonous environment and find the right one. You know, look for a job, get something lined up, start a second stream of income so you can get that built up so you can walk away from the place that's poisonous. You know, I know it. Some employment environments are terrible, toxic. Some family dynamics are toxic. You need to reevaluate. Look at where you at. Have honest conversations. Being a convict ain't easy, but it's doable. And what I mean by it's doable, you can overcome this. You can become a master of your own life. Your life is in your hands. You got 24 hours today, 24 hours tomorrow. Every day there's only 24 hours. You got the same ones that the richest people in the world got, and you got the same ones that the poorest people got. Everybody gets 24 hours and that's it. What you do with them, that's on you. And you always hear me to say this on my channel too. Principle and belief. That's right. I stand on principle and belief. And you need to find out what your principle and your belief is. And don't be willing to move that for nobody, especially if it means something. We got to have a standard. We got to have goalposts that we know that we have that can't be moved and nobody ain't going to move them. It's about our character. It's about our being better judgment of what's around us in our life. That's all I'm going to say about that right now. First day home from prison ain't easy, but it does get better. Take a moment to reevaluate your surroundings, reevaluate where you're at, and course correct if you have to. Hopefully, all the time that you spent in prison, you didn't spend doing stupid stuff. And when you get out, you're ready. You got your mind prepared. Give me a like, thumbs up, subscribe to the Pen and the Shank. Thanks for watching. Let's get it.